This deck had a 75% win rate in high infinite, and it is a pure evil tech deck. Let's dive into the guide so you can get out there and absolutely obliterate the meta now. Hey, what's up everybody? Kicker of Elves here. Today I've got a deck guide that is just plain evil. Do you not want to play ramp? Do you not have all the cards? Are you sick of Victoria Hand? Are you not that interested in trying Living Tribunal stuff? Do you just want to bother people? Do you just want to answer all the questions and watch the world burn? Well, then let me introduce you to Chaos Control. This is a deck I saw in a Snap Judgments video from about 2 or 3 days ago at the time this is going live. Glazer always puts out fantastic stuff, and I believe this list was from Husky Puppies, where Husky Puppies got a 75% win rate with it, and I believe 32 games at the very upper echelons of Infinite. So it's very much a legitimate deck. Now, if you're looking at these 12 cards, you might be having the same reaction I did when I first saw this, which was, what am I even looking at here? That's just every tech card in the game with some Merlin Werewolf stuff. What even is this? I thought there was no way this was going to be good, but I started playing with this again 2 or 3 days ago. I'm up probably somewhere between 80 and 100 SP. I played this on Stream Briefer this morning, and I myself had like a 63% win rate, and this deck just answers everything. The way that the Marvel Snap devs have been updating the tech cards and the presence of those tech cards, what they're doing in the metagame since September, has really been lessening their prominence here. They're trying to make it less easy to free roll tech cards, and that's made things like, you don't see Sarah Controlists anymore. We aren't seeing as much, Wiccan, Elias stuff. Don't care for those decks either. But in this particular list, because right now so many players are just not even thinking about tech cards, ramp lists are at the top of the metagame. With move being nerfed, we're not seeing Shadow King. There's a mindset among a lot of players, even at higher levels of Infinite, that is, okay, before I used to play around Shadow King, Shang-Chi was gone. Move's been nerfed. People are playing Shadow King less. Ramp is really big. I'm not really thinking about tech cards. In a meta where everybody is just trying to build their own sandcastles, if you're able to just make a deck like this that has its own good point potential output and unpredictable ways of destroying opponents' cards, you can make a sandcastle destroyer that is honestly very surprising. Let's talk about what this deck is doing holistically. What it's trying to do is combine the now world famous Merlin Werewolf Hood package with cards like Iron Patriot and Prowler to support, to build up points with your Werewolf by Night, your Hood, cards generated from Iron Patriot, free skills from Prowler by having your Werewolf move, with almost every other tech card in the game. We've got Deafening Core, we've got Cobra. Cobra, you are definitely looking at this being like, what the hell am I looking at here? And I'll talk about why Cobra is actually very relevant right now. Killmonger, Fenris Wolf, Shadow King, Shang-Chi, Danger. The only big prominent tech card, there's tons of tech cards, but a big prominent tech card we're not running is Enchantress, and that's because there isn't a lot of big go over the top ongoing stuff going on right now. But if that's what you're seeing, if your pocket meta is a lot of Moonstone, a lot of Tribunal, feel free to swap out like Danger or Shadow King. You can mix and match a little bit there. This isn't like a Silver Surfer package where we actually care about having a lot of 3 costs. You can adjust as needed, and we'll talk more about that in the card by card breakdown. But holistically, this is almost similar to this is going to sound crazy, but to like the Move and Professor X decks, like the Move deck from last month, Professor X decks of yore, where we're saying we're going to win one location on points with something like a Werewolf with your Demon, bigger Merlin, stuff like that. We're going to have a 20 power Werewolf, maybe some other cards, and then we are going to blow up another one of your locations, bring it back with a Fenris Wolf, or just have the raw destructive power with Danger and Shang-Chi. So it's win one location with points, take out another with tech. Now, obviously, every game is different. You might have some where your Cobra, Iron Patriot, Prowler lanes just etch out points. That's the beauty of card games in Marvel Snap. Not everybody's game plan happens the same way because of locations, variants, blah, blah, blah. But that's the holistic idea. I'm winning one location with points, and because I have every freaking tech card in the game, I'm going to have an answer to your Infinite, your Galactus First Steps, your Chamber, in a way that's going to surprise you, and I'm going to steal one location that way. It feels really good. As memey as this look and my green borders on cards like Cobra and Danger might lead you to believe that this really isn't the sauce, this deck is phenomenal. So if you're trying to answer the questions, and let me explain what I mean by that. When someone plays down an Infinite on turn 5, they ramped it out. They're asking you the question of, can you beat this with points or can you remove it in some way? That's the question they're asking. It's like, because if not, I win this location. It's tough to beat an Infinite with points a lot of the time, especially if it's coming down on turn 5. But you can answer that question by saying, yeah, I'm going to beat that with a Shang-Chi. And then I'm going to take that back with the Werewolf. I have answered your question of can you deal with this with a resounding yes. So we've got answers for everything in here. And sometimes that can end up in situations where admittedly it's a little bit awkward where it's like, I don't really need this Killmonger right now. I've gotten rid of my hood with a Merlin spell. But like most of the time, these cards come together in a frankly hilarious way because as we'll talk about in a moment, cards like Shang-Chi are full-on surprise cards now. So as a quick recap, what this deck is trying to do is create unpredictable point outputs and final location for cards like Werewolf by Night and created cards from Iron Patriot, the Hood, and then continual scaling on your Merlin and doing created card stuff with your Merlin spells, like doing a Merlin spell, like you activate Danger and then throw a Merlin polymorph on there and you get a free 5-cost card. That can feel pretty dang good with how good some 5-cost cards have become. Stuff like that. We have unpredictable point output and unpredictable tech closers. Naturally, when you play a Fenris Wolf, they're going to know something's going to grow back there, but they don't know where you're Shang-Chiing. They don't know if you're going to bring something back from your Cobra, Killmonger, Shang-Chi, or Danger. It's hilarious. So win one location with points, steal another or two with your incredible tech output. Now that we've talked about the heuristics, the overall vision of this deck, the best way to really get under the hood and understand the deck choices, why we're using which cards, is going into a card-by-card breakdown. So let's jump into that now. First and foremost, the Hood. This is probably the best 1-cost card in the game, right? Like, it has to be. We have so many ways of getting rid of him. We have 2 out of 3 Merlin spells get rid of him. We've got a Killmonger. That's 3 ways right out of the gate to deal with him. And sometimes we're able to get our Werewolf so big that it just kind of overwrites the Hood staying on the board. Naturally, we don't want that. We want to use the Hood to get us a demon and then get rid of the Hood with a once in future, a polymorph, or a Killmonger. Ideally, a once in future or a polymorph. Turning this into a 2-cost card feels great. But then we've got the Hood's Demon, a 1/6 phenomenal stat line that we can play out on any turn of the game. If you are planning on using Killmonger, this should go without saying, but make sure you're playing the Demon after you Killmonger. This is a fine play on turn 6 if you can weave it into your curve. And yeah, getting a Hood on 1 is like a Hood on 1 into a Merlin on 2 is practically a snap condition with this deck. Next card on the list is Deafening Core. This is our lowest cost tech card. This, right now, as of the time of recording this, Weapon H is the new Series 5 card. We're seeing a lot of discard lists come out. A lot of people are throwing a Naked Morbius or a Zombie Power Man into a location and thinking they're going to be able to hold things down. Deafening Core checks those. If somebody's playing Ravonna, Sam Wilson, Goliath, there are a lot of Victoria Hand, if those suckers are out there still playing Victoria Hand. I don't really like V-Hand. Anyway, anything that's low cost, there's plenty of good targets for this. It's not as great into the ramp decks, admittedly. You can try to snipe a chamber. Feels good if you do. Hitting a, whatever it's called, the Ice Cube from Luna Snow, that can feel good. Hitting an Electro, you kind of don't want to do because then you're getting rid of its downside for free. So this isn't great into ramp decks, but pretty much every other one of our tech cards is. So this can be a snap condition in some cases. You play down Iron Patriot on 2 and they have a Morbius in there. They think they're contesting that location, and then you play Cobra another spot and Deafening Cord that Morbius, and boom, you've got a free reduced cost card. Deafening Cord feels great in this list. This is also another cheap skill to move your Werewolf around. Lovely. We love having this card. Is it essential? I know this is a more recent card. No, but the whole thesis of this deck is running a ton of tech cards and then having a giant Werewolf or a couple other surprise cards. And this card simultaneously makes our werewolf bigger and answers a lot of lower cost threats. Cobra. Okay, let's talk Cobra here. If you saw this deck for the first time in the Snap Judgments video, like I did, I saw Cobra and thought maybe this was a holdover from when Monster Island was the hot location, because Cobra activate destroy enemy created card here, and I swapped her in for Valentina as one of the recommendations from Glazer, and that felt fine. But the more I started, I rewatched part of the video and just really thought, wait a minute, there are a lot of created cards right now. Victoria Hand, the Isan ramp list. If you watched episode 1 of Marvel Snap Meta Shenanigans yesterday on the channel, the Isan ramp list was the #1 win rate deck in the game at Infinite for decks that had over 1,000 matches played. Isan's pulling down big cards. Cobra is another way to do a destroy trigger to get something for your Fenris Wolf, and it's kind of a hard counter to Isan stuff. They play an Isan in that location. 610 is good, yes, but they're also counting on that output from created cards. They're counting on a big card from Valentina, hoping for a 5 or 6 cost from their Iron Patriot and stuff like that. Cobra's a straight up threat, and if Monster Island shows up, boom, he's playing for 213. That's Chamber. Who doesn't love Chamber? Iron Patriot. Easily one of the top 5 cards released in 2025. What a beast of a card. This puts pressure on your opponent to play into certain locations. And because we have decent early point output, with things like the Demon, destroying cards removing the text from cards like Morbius with your Deafening Chord. There are a lot of ways for even just playing if you target this right, you play it into an empty location. Sometimes even just following it up with a plain werewolf on turn 3 is enough. We love having a surprise factor. We are trying through Merlin spells and Prowler spells to have more than 6 energy on the final turn of the game. And that lets us weave out a surprise Iron Lad or a Jubilee. Having the random generated card from Iron Patriot can be really, really helpful. And he is another very strong 2-cost play that we have here. A 2/3 that gives you some surprise factor and forces your opponent to play somewhere. It's hard for me to imagine a meta where this isn't good, even now that it's given -3 cost instead of -4 cost. Merlin. I love Merlin. I got this variant for him in November. I want to get a better split on him, but yeah, I freaking love this card. This is the #1 card you want to be playing on turn 2. If you're playing Hood on 1 into a Merlin on 2, I typically don't like snapping before turn 3, and at least I've seen some of my opponent's cards so I can know their game plan, but that's almost a snap condition. 2 out of 3 of your cards generated by Merlin, your incantations, are going to turn your Hood into upside, and it feels fantastic. He's creating spells to move your werewolf around. Polymorphing your Fenris Wolf, your Danger, your Prowler, all cards that have a good on reveal or activate effect that once you've used up that effect can then be swapped to a higher cost card is just excellent. Merlin feels like he makes this deck real. If Merlin wasn't in the game, I don't think this deck works, but this is your engine for moving around Werewolf by Night. This is your engine to turn cards that have used up their activates or on reveals into higher cost cards. You are cheating out energy going into turn 6 or any other turn with Once and Future. Merlin is an absolute S tier card, probably one of the top 3 best cards released in 2025. I'm getting ahead of myself. I will definitely do a top, most significant cards of the year video towards the end of the year, but let's not litigate that here. But suffice it to say, you always want to be playing Merlin out on turn 2. There is not a single instance where you're prioritizing something else unless things have gotten very strange. Killmonger, another fine tech card. People are playing Destroy. I think a lot more people are playing are cutting Deadpool for Weapon X stuff, but Killmonger blows up your Hood. Killmonger blows up demons from Victoria Hand. He is just another part of this delicious, I don't want to call it tech soup because that's turned to tech slop. This is more of a tech gumbo. Yeah, we're not doing the cringy Wiccan tech stuff. We're not doing that. We're doing the cool Merlin Werewolf by Night Cobra tech. That's totally way better, right? Right? No, it's still cringy. Okay. Anyway, Killmonger, if you're running up against any Invisible Woman first step stuff, this free rolls into that. If people are doing Zoo, this free rolls into that. Killmonger gets rid of your hood, is a hard check, and at 3 cost is reasonable enough to work into a curve. You're happy to have him. Werewolf by Night. This is our point engine. Hood on 1, Merlin on 2, Werewolf on 3. That's a 1-2-3 punch that sets you up to just be so successful. Something about Werewolf that you really need to keep in mind here is using him at the right cadence to play Prowler and get those skills for free. You don't always need to get them for free. I think I might even be over fixating on them, but I really enjoy having those skills for free. So if you get Werewolf on 4, what you don't want to do is play Merlin's skill, or excuse me, if you get Werewolf down on turn 3, what you don't want to do is play Merlin's skill and then Prowler on 4. Those skills are going to cost 1. You need your Werewolf to have moved once before on the turn before you play Prowler. So if you're Merlin, if you're not moving Werewolf until turn 4, Prowler on 5 is your last chance to get those skills for free, but you will need to weigh whether or not it's worth doing that versus just getting them out early, because you might need to play an activate card on turn 5 so you can actually use it going into turn 6. That's a skill testing thing. You've got to really pay attention, especially when you're moving Werewolf around on the last turn of the game when you've got 2 Prowler skills, 2 Merlin skills, and then another on reveal, and then a different tech card to make sure he's going in the right place. I've accidentally Shadow Kinged my Werewolf. I have moved my Werewolf into a location where I then lost a middle location by 1 point because I just wasn't, mathing it out a lot. This gets tougher when you're playing on mobile, which I do, 99% of the time, but you just got to sequence things out. I love Werewolf Merlin stuff because it feels like I'm taking a lot of game actions. I'm playing multiple cards per turn. I am creating unique board states and expressing skills in a certain way. This is very much my kind of card, and he is the point engine of this. If the thesis of this deck is I'm going to win 1 location with points and then tech you out of the other 2 locations, Werewolf is the points. It's unpredictable where he's going. Your opponent, it's not like Human Torch where it's like, you never know where he's going to go. It's like, all right, well, he played Hellion over on the right, so he's going to go to the right. And then maybe he'll Heimdall to the left. Werewolf is like, I got no idea where this is going. He's got 4 spells in his hand, skills. Are they ever going to just change it to spells? I feel like no one's really consistently calling them skills. Anyway, Werewolf makes this deck tick. Absolutely makes this wonderful. The second of our 2 wolves. Wow, this shows how long it's been since I've played him. If you just saw that, the custom card thing unlocked as I opened this up. So I was not a big Fenris Wolf gamer. This was ridiculous as a 2/3. They long since, even before the Techpocalypse, I believe, nerfed him to a 3/4. This is a deck that wants to run Fenris Wolf. There are so many ramp cards or big gores out there. People are just not respecting the fact that they can get destroyed. Everybody thinks they're safe from Shadow King, they're safe from tech. That's wrong. You play Fenris Wolf into the location on the left, for example. There is Gamma Lab on the right. You play your Shang-Chi, take the 12 power from there, move it over to the left location. I find that it's better to play Fenris Wolf in a location where there is not a big guy. For example, if you're playing him on turn 5, that way if you plan to Shang-Chi on turn 6, you're reducing the power from that location and adding it somewhere else. If you're already having a big power swing in the location where you're stealing the power via destroying stuff with Shang-Chi, you probably don't need to add the power there with Fenris Wolf as well. Stuff can vary game to game, but that's just another heuristic coming from here. You want to get Fenris Wolf out early, it becomes a huge threat, and they now have to worry about the different destroys. They might be playing around Shang-Chi, but are they playing around Danger, Killmonger, Cobra? You can't play around all 4 of those cards. You will get something to bring back with Fenris Wolf. Just make sure you're checking the opponent's destroy pile so you're not bringing back a hood. The Prowler. This is my card of the month last month. I love Prowler. I love that with the nerf to Human Torch, the move many lists are going to get some room to breathe. I feel like the timing of the OTA with the nerf to Human Torch and the release of Chamber, everybody has flocked to ramp, which, hey, I'm loving me some ramp right now. That is the class of the meta, but there hasn't been as much experimentation with Hydra Stomper, Prowler, Craven, that sort of stuff. Maybe I'll get back to that at a later point in the season. I'm too hyped for Maverick next week, but Prowler's excellent here. giving you 2 at minimum 1 cost cards to help move your werewolf around or give you an additional energy going into turn 6. Using the flight harness to move a card into a Sanctum Sanctorum is great. The remote mines is obviously the best one here. This plays for a 1/4 or a 0/4, which is freaking nuts. And yeah, I find it very valuable to get those Prowler skills for free. So I'm often trying to, if I can, play him on turn 5, or if I'm able to like cheat out a werewolf early, make sure werewolf has moved before I play, so I just have that much unpredictable power output and ways to move my werewolf on turn 6. Again, there's going to be times where it's like, I need to get this Fenris wolf down. It's turn 5. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to, get back that Hulk or that Infinite that I'm going to destroy that's face up on the board. You have to be thinking about that stuff, because sometimes it is just worth it. I play werewolf on 3, and then even though I'm not going to be able to get those skills for free, I play the Hood on turn 4, followed by Prowler to move it around. That's 2 moves on werewolf, and then 2 1-cost skills. You love playing your 1-cost Merlin skills. 1-cost Prowler skills are fine as well. Love Prowler in this list. He definitely helps with our point package and just more unpredictability going into the last turn of the game. Shadow King, the big Chungus himself. So Shadow King is less relevant than he was 2 weeks ago, but you're still knocking down a Venom back to 3 power. You're knocking down a Carnage. There is a lot of green power still. There just isn't as much as there used to be. You'll see in some of the gameplay highlights here, there was a deck where a Screamin' Craven got very big in one location. They were quite confident. And who do you think came in and tightened things up there? So Shadow King, I don't know if his days are numbered. There are definitely less decks that Shadow King just free rolls out in the meta right now. But there's times where you see a giant 20 power Venom in one location. You can just be like, all right, I'm going to Shadow King that and win that location. Getting a 324 or whatever it is always going to feel good. So Shadow King, not as good as he was 2 weeks ago. Still incredible. Shang-Chi. So he's kind of the star of this deck. I do not like this card. I don't know who's doing the back-end balance decisions for second dinner on a case-by-case basis, but there was way too long when this card was just the fun police. I know there are some people that think like, oh, tech cards, so important, stuff like that, and I agree, but this son of a gun was just ruining so much stuff. Ongoing Zabu list where you could play Shang-Chi and Enchantress together on turn 6, just doing Sandcastle knocking over. I don't know what it is about like ongoing Zabu and Wiccan decks that make me just so like eye rolling when it comes to tech. But when I see something wild, like more wild like this, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'm down for that. But yeah, just so happy the meta has moved away from that, and the balance decisions are trying to like make the game less about being policed by Shang-Chi than it was for the previous 2.5 years. I remember when Loki first came out on an episode, Glenn Jones went on an episode of The Snapshot, which is KM Best's old podcast with Brendan Patrick. Love that podcast. I really wish it would come back. That was a great show. But they had Glenn on, I think it was Loki released week, and they were talking about how like that had steered people away from playing mid-range decks like Shang-Chi, because if someone Loki'd, you'd just be getting their Shang-Chi for free. And Glenn Jones did like a little fist bump, like he was excited about that. I'm glad we're finally getting back to that. And we've gotten back to that for so long that to tie this all together, now we're here, middle of December 2025. Nobody is playing around Shang-Chi. Last month, this wasn't so much of an issue. No one was playing around Shang-Chi last month, but you could Shadow King a Human Torch. That was a great way to do it. That you could Shadow King a Sam Wilson and Craven location. It was cheaper. You didn't need to run Shang-Chi. Now everybody's playing Ramp, Infinite, Galactus First Steps, Isan, big generated cards. All of those can get hit by Shang-Chi, and people just aren't expecting it. They're not respecting Shang-Chi, so he becomes a surprise card, and it's not just this like, oh god, do they have Shang-Chi? I'm going to just retreat on turn 5 because why wouldn't they have Shang-Chi? Everybody has Shang-Chi. He's a free roll. Not anymore. People are playing naked 20 power Gores into one location. Like, I got that location. No, you don't, because surprise, here's Shang-Chi. and then I'm bringing him back with Fenris Wolf. This is a big part of what makes this deck work. I think the two reasons why Shang-Chi is so relevant right now is because A, he's a surprise card, and then two, because ramp is so important and so popular. And then hell, even Weapon H discard, you've got big Conchutes, big Apocalypses, big, not Draculas, because Dracula happens at the end of the game, big Morbiuses, big Weapon H's. Those two decks are really having a field day in the meta right now. We talked about that a good amount in yesterday's episode 1 of Marvel Snap Meta Shenanigans. Go check that out. And that's what makes Shang-Chi feel great right now. Everybody has this card, run him in this list and you'll see. Last but maybe least is Danger. Danger and Cobra were the two cards I looked at and were like, how is this a thing? There's no way this can be good. And as a 4-cost activate, she is a little bit difficult to use. You could replace her with Juggernaut if you don't have her. I believe this was a Deadpool's Diner reward card. I actually was not playing a ton. I believe that was September. That was probably the least I played Snap this year. I was playing a lot of Destiny Rising at the time. So I don't think I did a single match of Deadpool's Diner. So I missed all those rewards, and just regardless, I ended up getting her later down the line. It's just a regular Series 4 card. But 4-cost activate, awkward to fit into your curve. But if you do, this is a pretty powerful threat, especially if you're playing her into like a location that everybody's trying to fill up, like the Raft or whatever, like the Vault, the location that locks you down turn 6. Being able to wait until turn 6 and then zap a 5 power or less card. We're not buffing her. We're not trying to do cheesy things like that. You're just going for the value play. This is yet another way to get a free card for your Fenris Wolf to bring back. If you don't have her, or you're not a believer and you don't like the 4-cost activate, I think Juggernaut is a great fit here too. Juggernaut easily helps with our condition of win a location with points, steal another location with tech cards like Juggernaut, like Shadow King, like just playing out whatever like cheap card you got from Iron Patriot. That ends up doing a similar thing. But try Danger. We are a Fenris Wolf deck at the end of the day. We're a wolf deck. We've got Fenris Wolf and we've got Werewolf by night, and we want to make sure we're giving ourselves fuel for that Fenris Wolf to really get the value out of there, and then taking 5 power out of one location and then bringing it back in another with your Fenris Wolf. That can go a long way for also trying to steal a location with Werewolf by night. Danger feels great, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say, but if you want more in-depth deck guides, meta reviews, tips on how to hit Infinite every single month, you're already in the right place. Hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button on this video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this deck. Am I a monster for talking about tech decks? Are you excited to get out there and try to counter the meta versus just continuing to play ramp? Leave those comments. I love hearing about people's experiences. The response has been so positive. I'm a little over 6 weeks into this channel, and the support y'all are showing is incredible. I really do want to take this moment to thank everybody who's watched and subscribed so far. We are well on our way to 1,000 subscribers and hopefully joining the Marvel Snap creator program. That would be practically a dream of mine. I've been playing this game since launch, and a special thank you to everybody who watched the first episode of Marvel Snap Meta Shenanigans yesterday. The reception to that was very positive. If you haven't watched that yet, please head back over to yesterday's video. Check that out. I think we are going to make that a weekly series with the amount of positivity we saw around that. And yeah, even if you're not want to talk about this deck in Marvel Snap, if you have a hyper specific deck building question or token saving question, please leave it in the comments. I will respond to all comments as long as you're not being rude or outright trolling me. Like I usually say, doesn't even have to be about Marvel Snap. You want to talk to me about music you're listening to, your favorite 90s indie rock band, your favorite city pop artist, how FLCL is the greatest piece of media ever created. Another thing, I'm hurting for this. I want to hear y'all's meal prep recipes. If you are bringing in, if you're not getting takeout for lunch every day at work or just eating at your work's cafeteria or whatever, school, university, whatever you're doing, I want to hear some meal prep recipes. I'm making way too many chicken tenders. I need some variety. So hit me up with that. All tangents and randomness aside, I'm Kicker of Elves. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see you next time. Goodbye. Boom, whoa, hey, Kicker of Elves here. I forgot to mention in the outro that we are going to cut over to some gameplay of me playing this deck. I'm streaming live over on Twitch TV, Kicker of Elves TTV. Go follow us there. We're having a great time over there. And yeah, here's some gameplay action. If you're all set with the deck guide and you want to head out, that's totally fine too. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Ongoing effects disabled. This is a perfect opening hand. We have Hood into Merlin into Iron Patriot plus a spell. Soulstone. We got Killmonger too. Are they doing probably just Thanos stuff? So let's see. Cards here not being revealed. We'll play Merlin on the left just to be safe. Copy the highest cost card. Let's see what he's got. So he's going to get Danger. I've got Thanos. I think we go Iron Patriot. And then we can just go Omniversal here. Ooh, he's got a Merlin as well. This changes things up in a very interesting capacity. Mr. F. Agatha Harkness. Let's go. We snap on this. And I think we just get our demon down. Do we? I wonder what we want to do here. Mr. F's a pretty good. There we go. Okay, all our tech cards straight away. Let's play Iron Patriot left. Just see what happens there. Scream. Double Danger. Thena. That's that's terrible. Oh, that's just awful. Just go Fenris. So this is the location we'll Shadow King. Get out of danger. So they think they've got me there. But what they don't realize is that they super don't. So we are going to Shadow King. Danger. Fenris Wolf in case things get weird, like they have a Negasonic or something. Just always want to account for that. Well, Danger. And then we'll just go Cobra Demon. Or no, then we'll just go Cobra. Get the Athena proc end of turn. Or are we doing that? I think we need to put a bunch of... I think this gets us there on the right. And then we just want to do a bunch of stuff over here. Hella. Yes. There we go. Never underestimate a Shadow King. Overconfident in Hospice over here. Taking its sweet time in the matchmaking. Young Parikh Patel. It's pretty funny. Card text disabled. Who likes that location? Sauron gamers? Come on, Parikh. Are they just so afraid of the Chaos Control list? Dasset Tuffy. I think we play Murley over on the right. He's just not... Definitely a young Parikh Patel move to queue into a game. Oh, there we go. Something happening. Wolverine. That's funny. I'm gonna go Cord and then Omniversal. I don't want my created cards costing that extra much. That is good for us. Or do we want to start werewolfing? I think we need to turn this off. I think we need to Fenris and then turn this off. Shanna. And then we go Cobra into where? Yeah, there. We like a Hospice. Give me a Merlin. Not ideal, but we can drop a danger in there. Sentinel. So we're doing Cerebro stuff here. You can just get Werewolf down. Mobius. I want to save Deafening Chord for the Cerebro. Taskmaster. Mbaku Cerebro. So here's what we do. We go Deafening Chord. And then we also go Danger? They can't play into here. So I think we go Danger left. I think it is this, and then just on the right. There we go. That was a very risky move of them, putting the mystique in the buff location. That's why I don't like Cerebro. Let's see what we got here. So we'll just get one of our created cards down next turn. Hood. Not created cards, get one of our Cobras down. Nice. Merlin. Because it's a hospice, if we want to change Lechugila, he'll go up to +7. Moira, they're probably destroying there. So let's just drop a Werewolf and then hope we get, what's it called? The Omniversal. They're probably not thrilled about that. That's 2 out of 3 locations that say don't play cards here. One says you can't play cards here. Venom. Nice. We have a Shang target. Dormammu. I'm not even paying attention to see Dormammu come here. I think we just do this. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if we get rocks. We can always polymorph them. Let's do that. Nico. Oh, thank God. Uncle Ben. Into the Moira X. Oh, freaking awesome, man. There we go. I want to snap that, but I feel like we kind of can't, right? I guess we polymorph Prowler once in future. That feels good. I'd love to snap this, but at this point I just want to play out the game. Sure. Okay, so here's what we do. We flight harness. We Shang-Chi. We deafening chord. We vibroshock. And then we once in future. Or wait. Hold on. I think we vibroshock. I think we flight harness. I think we deafening chord. Shang-Chi, and then we just have our demon here. Flight harness brings Werewolf back. Chord. Shang-Chi. Demon. And that brings forth Dormammu. It's like, sure. Yeah, there we go.